Matt Stonie entered the world of competitive eating to make a name for himself, and he's ingested some pretty crazy stuff in massive amounts. And mostly just for fun. Here's what takes the cake when it comes to the craziest things he's ever eaten. It's one thing having a voracious appetite, but it's another mustering up the guts to stuff your face with so much food you know full well that you'll be paying for it for at least the next 48 hours. Well, eating 125 cupcakes in one sitting will have you familiarizing yourself with that porcelain god pretty quickly. Matt Stonie knows this all too well. Even though the tray of vibrantly colored frosted cupcake tops look like a party ready to explode, the resulting bloated stomach Stonie showed the camera is cause for anything but a celebration. He managed to take down all 125 in under 10 minutes, one by one, and just washing them down with a quick gulp of water. To make the whole process as efficient as possible, Stonie removed all the wrappers before the timer began, so it was simply a pop-and-go cupcake feast, a feast that only sounds like it would be a dream come true. The reality? Maybe not so much. Whenever you're discussing a previous night's meal with a friend, you never want to describe your food intake in pounds. That's way too much. But for Stonie, adding a few temporary notches to his belt is a weekly activity. And when he discusses his meals, pound is a word he throws around regularly. Case in point, the honey challenge. Stonie found himself in a sticky predicament, staring at 2.5 pound bottles of honey on his kitchen counter, but he knew full well the only way out was chugging that thick, syrupy nectar until it's gone. And man, did he go for it once that clock started. Slugging it like an energy drink, you could see the pain. But in typical Stonie fashion, the champion came out on top and polished off both of those golden plastic bear bottles. Competitive eating goes hand in hand with both volume and speed. Sure, taking down 7 dozen hot dogs is quite the feat, but how fast can someone make it happen? Stonie knows time is of the essence during his challenges, and he only gave himself 1 single minute during his 80 marshmallow eating extravaganza. What a chaotic 60 seconds it was. Giving yourself 1 minute to do anything means you have no time to dilly-dally. So when that timer started racing, Stonie began shoving fistfuls of those puffy white morsels into his face with some serious aggression. He had his trusty water right there with him to wash everything down, and once that clock finally hit 60 seconds, our boy was stuffing the last of those 80 marshmallows into his mouth. Will s'mores be next? You can never tell what the fans are going to ask for next, and what he's going to deliver.
First, you take the graham. You stick the chocolate on the graham. Then, you roast the mallow.
Not only is the Super Bowl a great way to gather with friends and watch an intense football bout while shelling out a healthy dose of smack talking, but it's also a perfectly acceptable time to put aside the diet and indulge in those cheat foods you're always thinking about. The Super Bowl brings out the glory and the gluttony in us, and when you have an appetite like Stonie, there's a whole lot more gluttony going on. Welcome to the Super Bowl Challenge. Who knows if Stonie is actually a football fan, but he made sure to eat enough Super Bowl food for an entire room of gridiron fanatics. He laid out an entire pizza full of toppings, a massive bowl of Doritos, 3 bowls of refried beans, 3 burgers, and a tub of everyone's favorite Super Bowl staple, buffalo wings. 75 of them. It was enough food to feed a neighborhood, but that didn't stop Stonie from demolishing it. 1 hour and 20,000 calories later, he was so full he couldn't even move. But he was victorious, and at the end of the day, that's what really matters, isn't it? Waffles make mornings better, plain and simple. Who can resist drizzling that sweet syrup into those square pools and letting it soak into the bread, making for a delicious way to start the day? Well, while enjoying a waffle or two puts a smile on your face, staring at 100 Eggo discs is a totally different situation. In fact, it might turn you off of waffles for good. Well, luckily for us, Stonie stepped up to the challenge so we don't have to. This was actually the second time he attempted this challenge. The first time, back in 2013, it took him a little over a half hour to complete, and he wanted to step his hustle up in preparation for the 2019 San Jose Barracudas World Waffle Eating Championship. After pouring a healthy amount of Aunt Jemima's on each 50 waffle pile, he took down almost 8 pounds of Eggos in just over 15 minutes. That's some serious breakfast time dedication that makes everyone else look like an amateur.
You have to pay for those! Stop right there! Thief! Thief!
No one liked hearing the words, "eat your vegetables" at the dinner table growing up. Who has time for greens when dessert is sitting on the counter just waiting for hungry mouths to devour it? Well, if Stonie's broccoli challenge proves anything, it's that his parents probably didn't have to tell this guy to eat his veggies. He did it in his own great quantities. But even those of us who absolutely loved adding roughage to our diets would find it tough to stomach 500 grams, or in other terms, about a pound, of completely raw broccoli. 1 pound might not sound like a lot in the world of competitive eating, and it's not. But when you're choking down dry, raw broccoli, that pound is a struggle to get through, even with several glasses of water. Yet, 6 minutes into the challenge, however, the broccoli was gone and Stonie walked away a victor yet again. Imagine eating over 1,000 pieces of anything. You virtually can't. It's an absurd amount of substance to put into your body. Well, competitive eaters, as we know, turn those "I can'ts" into "I'll tries." But it isn't always pretty, and victory isn't always achievable. Case in point, the Pocky challenge, when Stonie sat in front of a pile of 1,620 Pocky sticks and pondered his existence before diving in. He went in with his head held high, but left with his pride hanging out to dry. At one point in the video, Stonie's camera battery dies, leaving the viewers in suspense as to whether or not he completes the daunting task during the blackout. However, when the video picks back up, the Pocky sticks stand undefeated, and his stomach suffers some serious battle wounds. Still, he ate more Pocky than most people will in a lifetime, and you've got to give him credit for trying. For those who love their meat, stripping some succulent barbecue off of a rib is one of the greatest joys in life. And a beast like Stonie loves a good rib as much as the next guy, or even more. In an attempt to put every carnivore to shame, he stacked 100 pork ribs on a serving tray and attempted to finish the whole thing. What exactly does the calorie count look like for a heaping pile of 100 sauce-drenched ribs? Stonie was faced with about 15,000 calories worth of meat, but he went into battle with an almost astounding amount of optimism. During the challenge, he explained the ribs were St. Louis style, which means the meat stuck to the bones as opposed to tenderly falling right off. This made things a bit more challenging, but you can tell Stonie thoroughly enjoys the flavor. And the empty plate in front of him 50 minutes later proves it. The colorful, jiggly experience Jell-O offers makes it a huge hit with kids everywhere. Plus, you can mold it into awesome shapes to make dessert time even better. But Stonie only needs one shape for his gelatin, and that shape is a massive gallon-sized bowl. That's right, he made a gallon of lime-flavored Jell-O, grabbed himself a spoon, and dug in like a fiend. The first dozen or so bites went great. How could they not? It's Jell-O. But all good things eventually come to an end. And not long into the lime-flavored journey, the excitement in each bite went away. Soon, it became a mind-over-Jell-O situation.
Judges in session, what is the problem here?
You put my stuff in Jell-O again!
However, all it took is 18 minutes for the contents of the bowl to land in Stonie's stomach. Even though he reigned supreme, he did admit the jiggly texture took a lot to overcome at one point, and he had to fight back gagging. That iconic McDonald's burger is named Big Mac for a reason. It's big, it's filling, and people shouldn't eat more than one of them during a single meal, or even a single day. One is usually enough to satisfy anyone's appetite, except, of course, for people like Stonie. This guy doesn't settle for one measly Big Mac. In Stonie's world, he takes them down by the dozens. 2 dozen plus 1 to be exact. Big Mac should never come in orders of 25, but Stonie isn't your average patron. Those golden arches indicated a Mac challenge, and he stepped up to the plate with a cast-iron appetite ready to conquer 25 big burgers. The sheer insanity it takes to attempt this is unfathomable, but Stonie reached the finish line in only 22 minutes. That's less than 1 minute per Big Mac. It's safe to say he might hold off on his next McDonald's excursion for a few years. Maybe. Why settle for a boring old chocolate bar when you can experience candy? Pop Rocks offers fructose fanatics a physical experience as they eat, and Stonie figured out just how many Pop Rocks would lead to a crackling mouth rave coming to an early close. Usually, Pop Rocks are consumed by the packet, not by the bowl. But this is Stonie we're talking about, and he doesn't know the meaning of a standard serving size. Apparently, a serving of Pop Rocks to Stonie is 350 packets, and that's exactly what he poured into a massive clear bowl in an attempt to shovel the 14,000 calories into his face, all while popping and fizzing his heart out. well, things didn't exactly work out the way he thought. Completely underestimating how terrible the crystal sugar intake would taste, he bailed out long before the pile was finished. But he definitely put a bigger dent in it than the average human could even fathom. Next time, Stonie. Next time. No Easter basket is complete without those neon-colored rows of marshmallow Peeps poking out the top. They only really pop up around Easter time and a few other holidays in limited amounts, and Stonie decided to make a festive feast out of the gooey treats. In typical Stonie style, he loaded up on boxes of Peeps and dumped 200 of them into a big serving bowl, ready to dive headfirst into the sugar-laden bushel. The entire bowl held over 1,300 grams of sugar, but Stonie attacked it with the force of 1,000 stomachs. One after another, he forced down the fluffy chicks. He didn't exactly look like he enjoyed it, but he maintained a solid pace throughout all 14 minutes of the mission and came out ahead, toppling the epic bowl of Easter goodies and setting a world record. The next year, in 2017, Stonie ate 255 Peeps in an eating competition and broke the record he'd already set himself. Garlic mashed potatoes are one of those side dishes you're always happy to see passed around the table during dinner. They're fluffy, tasty, and the ultimate comfort food. But potatoes are also quite filling. That starch is no joke when you indulge in too much. Stonie, however, doesn't know the meaning of too much, so he made himself a monstrous 15-pound bowl, doused in gravy, and gave his stomach the test of a lifetime. One saving grace when it comes to mashed potatoes is the fact no chewing is involved. This saves energy to keep swallowing bite after bite, but it's still far from easy to handle 15 pounds of anything. For a few moments, viewers were unsure if our man would actually make it to the end. But sure enough, he's eventually scraping the last spoonful out of the bowl and finishing with pride. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more mashed videos about your favorite competitive eaters are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.